My mic was not plugged in. Thank you, Faye. I don't know what would have happened if you weren't here to point that out. Fareed Expert, I do stream day to day, not every day, but the best way to, I think the best way to connect together would be to hit, what is it, follow? Become a follower, please. And I don't use, what's it called? I don't use Discord for much. But yeah, there we go. Uh-oh, Fareed, just checked out your video and I love your energy on Twitch. I noticed that you have been streaming quite a bit and haven't hit affiliate status yet. I have a proposal for you. I can help promote your stream within a Twitch community to help you reach 1,000 followers. Uh-oh, uh-oh. When I see dollar signs, I get excited. Yeah, Fareed, smash that follow button, my friend. And I'm not interested in any viewers. I'm having fun. We're just enjoying it. But yeah, please, just hit that, smash that follow button. Thanks, Faye. Thank you. Okie doke, let's move on. Very excited to discuss the painter of happy trees this morning. We're doing something different for our time lapse, so that's why you're going to see me today. I'm going to work on, in more of a, well, we've been working piecemeal for a while, but you'll see it when it comes to the, when it comes to the time lapse. Cinnabon Boy, please, you're most welcome. Thank you. And you've already smashed the follow button. So I don't have many more instructions for you, to be honest. Let's see how Fareed. Oh boy. Now let's not come to any conclusions about Fareed Expert. Whoa, Fareed, you smashed the follow button? Let me just double check here. I can't. I'm sorry I was using a robot voice now that I see that you followed me. Thank you. Fareed, I'm just not interested in doing any, like I've been to this rodeo with another business before, and I don't pay for followers and I don't join like sort of communities like that. But your point about affiliate status is a good one. Like we're in the green now. We've got 55 followers. With probably, if we were to get rid of 5 of the followers who are like sales type followers, we would not be at a level of being able to be affiliate. So, I mean, you can't live with them and you can't live without them when it comes to salesy types of chat folks. But you know, thank you, Fareed. I am not an affiliate yet, and the reason is, I believe, is because I only recently crossed the 50 follower threshold. With that said, if there's anybody out there who wants to replace any of those robot or salesy followers with a real, sincere followership, I would be very yeah, I think we're working on it, right? Thank you, Cinnabon Boy. So let's talk quickly to YouTube and Facebook who are patiently watching me just talk to no one. At least that's maybe what it looks like. So I'm chatting with my pals on Twitch. You can join me there if you want to chime in and join the chat. At some point, maybe I'll get the YouTube chat connected to this one. I don't know how that works, but I just want to paint, and I don't have a lot of time today, so I'm only going to do one session. You add the chat to the overlay. I know. You know, something I thought about I do that with when I'm doing a speed run. So Faye Helmet suggests I should add the chat to the overlay, and I do that when I'm speed running. And I know everybody on Twitch has the chat going on there. But let me say something about that, and you tell me as as seasoned stream people. Well, that's one factor, Cinnabon Boy. Chat here might take away from the art. Yes, that's one factor, although I'm taking away from the art. So why not just, go all the way? But I've been thinking about the idea of overlaying chat. Yes, exactly. I'm already disrupting the kind of one-to-one. In an ideal world, it might even be good to just have the time lapse, not the time lapse, but just stop zooming in. But I like zooming in, and I think when you see the details and all that. But I'm getting off track, and I think it's good because I was a little under the weather yesterday, and now I'm back to having some energy, which I'll put into the stream. So I think we're going to be, so let me finish the thought. The thought is, me off track, never. Look, we try to remain, on track. But I've got 3 tracks going right now. So let's get the 3. Let's finish one of them. You pick a track. Okay, let's discuss. Let's talk about overlay of chat. Very important. When you're overlaying a chat, you tell me, have you ever read a chat overlay on the screen in Twitch? I've never read. You can't read it. It's too small. Am I wrong? Convince me otherwise. The chat overlay within OBS, in my opinion, is illegible because of its size in most cases. And unnecessary because if you want to look at the chat and engage with chat, you're going to have it popped up on the bottom, right? VOD watchers might. But even VOD, I see. Okay, so VOD will have the chat if it's up there, but not on YouTube, for instance. So, yeah, it's unclear. And so that's where you get into feeding the chat into YouTube, making these into comments on YouTube. Is that legal? Is it possible? I know that I've seen other streamers have done things where they're take the so what we're discussing here for YouTube's sake, Cinnabon Boy said VOD watchers might, video on demand watchers might. So that basically is the YouTube folks. But Cinnabon agrees, mostly unnecessary. And so just to finish up this thread of thought here, if and when somebody like who was doing this? Somebody was doing this. Oh yeah, Nico. No, was it Nico? 100% Zelda. This channel is really fun to watch, and he just collects 1,000 items of everything and other, you know, he tries to do everything possible in the Legend of Zelda games. I think it was he, or maybe it was Lack at some point, trying to get the chat from YouTube to appear in Twitch or vice versa. Like there are plugins that can like feed that stuff in. But I can't see how that would work without, maybe it would be like a bot that's handling the third party non-Twitch chat stuff. So anyway, there we are. Anyway, scrapes from one and inputs on the other. Yes. And as a bot, or like, they can't create accounts. Maybe Alex Brody could help us figure out that part of it. I know. Definitely. I'm really just thinking. So Cinnabon says, at your level, honestly, not worth the effort. Your time is better spent just streaming. Absolutely. I agree. But what I'm seeing, at least for the YouTube stuff, like nobody's watching there, nobody's watching on Facebook. I know. No, I didn't take it that way. Like with so few viewers, we're really exactly like you say, like let's get this off the ground and then deal with it. I think the only difference is if somebody's on YouTube and hears me yapping away and wants to hang, like that's part of what's fun, I think, about the stream. In fact, the stream really lights up when somebody asks a question or starts chatting, and then we kind of like, you know. So Victoria Solutions, send request on ID. What's ID? IG? Why don't, Fareed, show me your stuff. Head over to my Instagram. Give me a follow on Instagram too. I know I'm asking for a ton of follows. Yeah, I will gladly go off platform for you, Fareed, but not right at the moment. So let's do this. I'm gonna plug in a thing. So anyway, any Mets fans out there? Let's talk sports. I have a new passion, which is watching the Mets, and I'm eager to discuss it. Uh-oh. Oh no. I don't want to upload any photos. New York Mets lost last night, but okay. So here, I've changed some things about my layout, and I want to adjust a bit before we really just dive in. So bear with me once more while we... Oh, we got... Okay, we're going to lose the top ahead here. Okay. Ah. Wait, what? Why is that? I don't get it. Look at this, guys. I've got so many windows and streamies, and I just want 28. I just want 1920. Oh, there we go. And then can't we, okay. Now, let's move. We're gonna head over, and then now after all this, I'm gonna go into the other room and make sure that the time lapse is still going. Yes, it's still going. Oh, I'm excited and scared about this new time lapse. It's gonna like jump. If you don't mind, I got a chance for you as a friend to obtain more audience and become an affiliate partnership. Can I share it with you? Don't share anything here. The best thing to do would just be to like hit me up on Instagram or send me a DM, a whisper. I don't know. I've never done that, but for right now, let's just paint and you can enjoy the stream. Or I'm really not interested in doing any business. All right. So the live stream is going to be fun. And here's why. Wait, what the heck? What is that? Oh my goodness. Bad news, friends. What is that underneath? Gosh darn it. It is 9/11, that's right. So you'll see lots of that kind of stuff. You mean salesy stuff? Is that because people are like, what? I'd love to hear more about that. That's interesting. Oh, I thought you said something was bad on the news. I'm going to link you up with my uncle who's a big streamer on the Twitch. No, I meant bad news, friends, and I didn't finish my sentence. I'm somehow like, oh, that's what it is. Weird. Okay, I'll tell you what happened. Because I have the select tool going and not my brush, it was selecting like the paint layer only. Whoa. This could be bad. At least on a... Yikes. Oh boy, don't do that. Here, we're gonna try something here. Where's the top of the glasses? Okay, we're good. I just got a little paranoid. We're okay. We're gonna go back to full screen mode. And we're gonna... He's currently partner... Oh, your uncle. Dude. Well, please, just tell him... Please tell him. Cinnabon, we need these followers that he's talking about. I mean... I'm interested. I'm low-key interested. All right, let's move. I always find that the salesy chats are like, they actually provide so much comedic relief. Like I'm not hating on this conversation. I find it stimulating. Okay, here we go. We've got the, look at this, 30 minutes in. Is that where we're at? 30 minutes in. Are you kidding? Sorry, folks. So today, we're going to focus on the torso and upper body. We'd spend some time on the hands, the paintbrush. Let's get into what we do best, which is painting. First thing is first. Let's grab with our handy dandy. Oh, jeez. I made a mistake, folks. All right, now we're plugged in. We're ready to go. We're going to get our handy dandy paintbrush tool, zoom in, and this is about as far as I want to zoom in today. I say that, but you'll see me zooming in a lot more like this. Oops, too far. Don't go too far. All right, so really we're just sort of working through the outlines here. Our time lapse today is going to be focusing on the upper body, the Canadian tuxedo, oh my gosh, after the break I think I might have a surprise. If Slack is interested, we were discussing a costume yesterday, and I think what I think I should do is like slowly transform into Bob and not really discuss it. Like, you guys will be in on it, but you know, tomorrow it'll be like, uh-oh, he's got the you know, like, yeah, we don't, only people who are like in the know, you know. And then you get new visitors on here like, that's odd. Why is he wearing aviator style glasses with no lenses? That's right. Yeah. Just like light discussion about lizard people. Don't go too deep into it. Exploring lizard, what are they? Reptile people. Anybody out here familiar with the comedy duo Tim and Eric? I gotta say, it's Tim and Eric, Steve Brule, which is basically Tim and Eric, and then what's his name? Well, Nathan For You, or sorry, Nathan Fielder. Nathan Fielder is also an incredible comic genius. They're all kind of born from the same, they're all like David Lynch offspring. As strange as that sounds, but they've done what everybody's wanted to do forever, is make fun of David Lynch and put it in the context of comedy rather than this sort of highfalutin. Like, they love David Lynch, and who doesn't? But they put it in the context. They take the David Lynch vibe and put it in a context that's not like taking itself as seriously as David Lynch does. But yeah, if you get a chance, check it out. So here, we're going to just be zoomed out because I was watching the stream yesterday a little bit afterwards and thinking there's so much zooming and panning this way and that. I think it's helpful for me, but might be irritating. So, whoa. They'll never see that. I don't like to make mistakes. So yeah, check that out. But this conversation reminded me of that because they have this really funny I guess you'd call it a skit or a sketch where they have a religion called zone theory. And it's like they talk about it's really ridiculous. But Tim Heidecker is like the leader of this cult. And he makes no attempts to like disguise that it's a cult. He'll be like in the promotional materials, which is this advertisement for zone theory. He just comes right out and is like, we'll like, teach you how to like get rid of your real family and deal, kind of find a new zone family. And then they have like testimonials from people who are very strange. But anyway, it's one of my favorites. And then Nathan, for you, I was watching that today or a couple days ago. Really clever twist on the Sacha Baron Cohen. Actually, I think Sacha Baron Cohen is the like Nathan Fielder would be if you took Tim and Eric and married it with Sacha Baron Cohen. Then that's what you'd get. All right, let's move. All right, so the other good thing here is that I haven't done a very good job for myself of doing paint by numbers on the Canadian tuxedo. So much of this is going to be improvised. And, it's only a matter of time that I'm going to have to start doing this without the underdrawing. It's going to be a pain in the neck, but... Oh, in other promotional news, I'm really excited about potentially streaming on TikTok. I don't know how to do it, but I think I noticed that there was so much like more interest there than there is, like Twitch and TikTok seem to be more interested in this kind of thing than the kind of YouTube scene, at least for now. So it won't hurt, right, to dangle some content out there. I already put like my what are they called on the time lapses. Okay. So you'll see what we're doing here is just sort of laying in these values and structures. We're not getting too crazy into the details. We're just finding, okay, this is a good basic tone for this area of the shoulder. We're dancing around, which is what I like to do, but we're dancing around within the main event, which is the torso. Today, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, you got to paint that in. Now, what is that? This appears to be, oh, it's our shadow edge. Okay, right. All right, we'll hit the shadow. I think I noticed over on YouTube some of that buffering problem where, like, you know, it's not a big deal because it's not like you're trying to watch, you know, an Olympic event here. It's just my head would freeze up or stuff like that. So I'm slowly but surely figuring out why and if and how to fix that. All right, we're going to get this arm done. So see, again, basically get the right tone for that swath of highlight. See that? Kind of shape. Get the basic general tone for that middle value. Don't pull. Oh boy. And then there's kind of a middle value here. And then we're going to get this. So again, what I like to do is you're sort of finding, I'm trying to find a value here on the arm, but another way to do that is squint like that. You can just grab one from anywhere else on the flesh. But what helps is to, you know, as opposed to just plopping the eyedropper tool right down on there. Gosh, I never thought I would say, can you hear that bird? It's like turning into the Edgar Allan Poe story here. I'm going to start going crazy with that. What is it, a raven? Usually I don't mind nature sounds. I think maybe I'm going extra Looney Tunes today. Maybe it's too many cups of coffee. All right, see this? We're slowly building up the forms there. Okay. let's find a happy little halftone here. And that was a little much. A little too dark. Did you see that? And then a darker dark can live right here. So it's sort of like caw. Alec Baldwin as the mimic on Saturday Night Live was another bizarre comic thing that I really enjoyed. All right, let's zoom in here. We know what this is. It's a dark shadow. This may be where he keeps his, where he keeps his Dianetics cheat sheet in that pocket. LRH. LRH. Long live LRH. All right, so now let's see. What's our timing? We're about 15 minutes in, and 15 solid minutes of painting seems to settle me into a bit of a into a place of, I don't know. You got a dark. Sort of gets the stuff going. Any other darks? Nope. Yeah, here. How about this? Under the old belly. Try our best to just find the appropriate brush. Who knows? That's fine. Keeping things sort of light. Here's our shadow edge. We don't know which of this is what part of that is shadow, what's reflected light, but we'll figure that out later. We'll take our oh boy. Oh boy. Let's see what this is. Is this You just, a lot of this is just me learning to be a little less fearful about putting in marks. We talk a lot about that. It's totally normal to be afraid because you don't want to lose your progress. And I talk a lot about it because I just think it's a part of the process. It's got to be done. So look here. There's a nice brush stroke. You don't really need more than that. You don't need to go in and go all crazy. You could just say, boom. You could say, there you go. Like my favorite passages of paintings throughout the years have always been those passages wherein you see confident brushstroke that doesn't have a ton of extra fiddle faddle going on. Okay. In the interest of, I don't know what, we're going to find our brush tone here, whatever. Knock it in. Couple of strokes. All right. Looking sharp. Did we get the halftone here under the shirt? I don't know. Let's seal the breach here. Let's get in here and really find out what's really going on. We're keeping things broad. I like the button popping through there. That's encouraging. Yeah. I'm looking for the right value for this area. Something like that. Why didn't I just take the value I already had? Don't ask me. I don't know. I'm just the artist. Very good. All right, there's some liveliness to the torso coming in here, right? Meanwhile, all right, let's grab the shadow edge here. Let's see what this is. Yeah, it's a dark, of course. Pardon me. And we'll get this shadow edge deployed. We'll get a basic value here. So you may have seen on Instagram and other places recently, if you're somebody who likes to look at paintings on the internet, which I am actually not, but because I do this kind of thing, the socials think that I'm the kind of person that wants to look at paintings online. I'm too much of a egoist to really spend a lot of time looking at other people's artwork. I do admire it, but I don't know. It's one of those things where I admire it from the perspective of it kind of gets me like, wow, like can we do that? Could I learn to do that? But I don't like art for art's sake. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I just like the craft of it. And why am I saying this? I'm saying this because you will see people who do like, oh my gosh, I think I need a list of off-track topics. Because I forget all these things, and I think they're valuable to discuss at some point. But have you ever seen, like, in the movie The Predator, which, by the way, I think we've got to straight up do, like, early Arnold, early, maybe not Steven Seagal, but like Arnold, Rambo, and you pick the third. I mean, who's batting third for a team with Arnold and with Sly leading off? Who would the other one be? Would it be Van Damme? Who would be your third choice there? Discuss. Okay, so I'm off pace, off track again. Have you ever seen what's his name? The Terminator, the Predator. No, The Predator. That's all I'm wondering about. Have you seen The Predator? If so, there are these thermal views. Like the Predator is an alien who sees its victims in terms of their, like, heat map, like, anyway, there are artists who, many of them appear to be sort of like amateur artists, and what they'll do is they take a photograph and then have it processed into almost like literally paint by numbers level, like granulation, where it's like circles encircling each tonal shift, right? And it kind of looks like that Predator thermal thing. And the reason I mention it is because it's actually a really good way to learn, I would think, how to paint from photos. Fill in one thing at a time. Fill in a circle, and that's it. There's only one color for that tone. But what you don't get from that, I think, is like the nuance and the transitions. So really, that's like what I'm doing. When I plop in my lights and darks, I'm aiming to cover the canvas, yes. But here, I'm going to need to come back in here and find a passing value like a middle value. So look, like here, see, I just bring that value through. By the way, I just dug into the background there. I don't want to do that. But see, this tone breaks up from dark to light. There's a passing middle value. Now that was clunky and, you know, not the way I wanted it to look, but it was just a demonstration of what those paint by numbers don't show you, is how to connect from dark values to lighter values. And that's where the personality of a painting comes in, because otherwise it's just going to look like Predator. And that's cool if that's your painting personality. I'm not mocking it. It's you know, as I say, a lot of them are, a lot of the people who paint with that appear to be like amateur painters who are like, look, I did my first oil painting. And it's like, yeah, it's just like, it's a very basic breakdown of darkest darks, middle values, and lightest lights. And that's why it's talk about this being glorified paint by numbers. The glory comes in for me when I've found this sharp edge, right? See this? Black and blue right next to each other. If you look closely at this transition here, there's more going on there. Where? Like there's a darker value here. Where is it? Something like that. Yeah. Okay. And then we come in here and find where that edge, right? Like right along here. You can pull the dark into the light there. And up close, see, it already went from a dark sharp to a softened edge there. And that's what, for me, this is what I'm learning, what I'm trying to learn here, is how to blur edges, not only with the platform of digital, but just in general. This the whole thing of painting is just about knowing when to soften an edge and when to leave it sharp. And so I would caution that leaving sharp edges too sharp for too long is, you're not going to like advance really. It'll stay looking like a paint by numbers. Now, how do we advance from there? Well, my advice is to not start with paint by numbers. My advice is start with the real hard, the school of hard knocks, which is get a sculpture, find a consistent light source, whether it's a darkest dark or whether it's a window that's facing north so that the shadows never change, or use an artificial light like I sometimes do here. But the main thing is that the light source is constant, and then you based on that light source, you look very closely at the shadow patterns. And I'll show you an example maybe at the break when I get my Dianetics book out. No worries, there's no requirement, no need to commit to any one dogma. But you will see that if you attempt to draw a statue in black and white with a defined shadow pattern, you will find that the transitions between shadow and light are very subtle, very nuanced, and very much fun to learn how to make those transitions turn from a dark to a light, blend it across. It's called chiaroscuro. This is what the Renaissance painters sort of started, and then as you got into the like Baroque and kind of 17th century, they just mastered it. Like Titian took it to the next level where it was like not just I don't know, where it wasn't just about chiaroscuro, but like Caravaggio, you think about a big name in the chiaroscuro history books. But it's just really fun to look at that history of art and to watch it go from being like Gothic style as they learn more about oil paint, because really the technology of oil paint is what enabled them to make those kinds of transitions in color, as opposed to, you know, when they were doing frescoes, they only had egg tempera, and I don't know much about that process, but when they were painting on the walls, you couldn't, it dried immediately. So you had to have a plan, and you really had to do paint by numbers then. And there wasn't much of a way to turn edges until oil painting came along. And so you look at like Van Eyck, Flemish, I don't know, Norlandish painter. Van Eyck was using oil paint in almost a rigid way. Vermeer, I would also say, very rigid, almost paint by numbers, but what my teacher, one of the things that my teacher gave me that I'm very thankful for is the love of 17th century painters. So for some reason, something happened in the 17th century when Van Dyck was born in like 1598, I think. Velázquez was maybe a little bit older, but all around that time period of turn of the 16th century into the 17th, so 1600s. You had these guys using oil paint in a way that was not just for the sake of... Caravaggio, also born at the same time, roughly speaking. What was his name? Rubens was older than these guys, but he paved the way too. All of these guys were looking at the oil painters from the Venetian school. The big names from the Venetian school are Titian and I'm drawing a blank, but if you look at, like, if you Google Venetian school, you'll see that's when they started. When the Italians got their hands on oil paint from the Northern Europeans, they took it and brought it to this kind of like more lyrical, using oil paint in a more free way than just the way the Van Eycks of the world were using it. in this very rigid Northern European, everything's nice and tight, nice and tidy. The Flemish, so Tiziano in northern Italy had oil paint, and he was doing things with it that were really groundbreaking and innovative, as far as the compositions of his paintings, the way the paint kind of, the way the paint itself, it was almost like he was like improvising on the canvas rather than having it be this like planned out, almost like fresco style thing. He was reworking compositions on the go. He was painting from life, which is a huge innovation. Having a live model rather than painting in oil paint from a drawing, Titian started painting models from life. And you get to see that like improvisation. You get to see the you see it, it's sort of like all of these things like what's the word? They all came together. There was a confluence of all of this stuff, the technology, the trading of visual languages from the Italians and the Northern Europeans, finding that technology, and then the Flemish, like Rubens, and the Spanish painter Diego Velázquez, Van Dyck, a descendant of Rubens. So all of these things are like, it just sounds like I'm listing names of painters, and yes, I am doing that. But there's a lineage, and the lineage kind of goes from one painter to the next. And then you have painters meeting up with each other, and sculptors meeting up with painters. And there's so much in that period of time that was like so rich. And then, as always happens in any sort of style or fashion, things become mannered, stylized, and then it gave birth to like the 18th century. And I'm not versed on what was happening culturally at the time that allowed for this language of the 17th century oil painting to be lost, and what changed about it. But I can describe it visually. I mean, it's much more, you have painters who are like, I don't know, what is it, Rococo? Maybe that's the wrong time period, but basically I lose interest at that stage in the game because it's mannered. But then you have all of this, you have these people sort of carrying the torch of Titian down, even weathering the storms of these kind of mannered, more stylized things that were happening. You have a couple of them that were carrying that torch. Like, for example, where am I? I gotta turn my phone off, I think. Anyway, the point is, worming in and out of all these stylistic fashion changes throughout the centuries, you have a common, you have some artists, painters throughout who carried the torch and kind of kept this more free language of oil painting, where you're painting directly from life, and there's such a difference. There's such a difference. Like Bouguereau is a painter from I don't know when, like late 1800s, but clearly Bouguereau is exciting for a lot of realist painters today because it's so tight and so crisp and so realistic. But a lot of that stuff is just like done from drawings. They're not actually reacting in the moment to a live model. And so it ends up falling a little bit flat, despite the technical, in spite of the technical mastery of people like Bouguereau or like Frederick Lord Leighton. You can look these painters up and be like, wow, that's super tight. How did they do that? Well, I'm not going to take away from their abilities, but because I certainly can't paint that way. I can't do much, but try. But like Bouguereau appears to me to be somebody who's like, largely doing like extremely academic drawings and setting everything up perfectly, almost like too perfectly, and then going and painting and not really working out composition problems on the fly or like really even painting from life in any way. It's almost like the way it's almost like they took this language of oil painting in that era and had brought it to its farthest logical conclusion as far as like academic study of this stuff, and it tended to flatten it. It sort of became like the way Disney movies, now they've brought Elsa and Anna, and Moana, all of which I love them. They're fun to watch and they're really beautiful at times. But there's no like innovation happening there. They all look like the same characters, so to speak. It's like, and the reason I'm yapping a little bit about this, especially for the Twitch community, I think you'll find this kind of interesting. But when I was a kid studying painting, I was amazed by the parallels between like painting, like how realistic a painting was, and comparing that to how realistic a video game was. So like, if you look, follow me on this with this analogy, like look at Pong or any other game like that where it's like just black and white. That's cave painting to me. It's like important, it's foundational, but there's nothing really happening there. It's like, and then of course you go, then you get into 8-bit, like Super Mario Brothers, Legend of Zelda. That to me is like the Gothic period where things are very flat. All the people look the same, like these kind of like almost rodentine features. Everything's flat. You have the Christ and the throne, and all the angels are like set up on a flat plane. It's very basic stuff, but it paved the way for 16-bit in the same way that, like, these Gothic painters, yielded to people like Giotto, Masaccio, where they started pushing that envelope a little bit, where it goes from being flat to like, oh, we can have like, we can turn this edge. And, little by little, what I'm getting at is like innovations are passed on and the technology changes. So they learn things about fresco that couldn't have been done before, and it enables them to kind of turn edges, keep the paint wet for longer, stuff like that. So this is where I'm like sort of trying to draw that comparison and, sort of relate that art form of video games to the art form of oil painting. I'm trying to think of like where it concludes, like as video games become more and more like real life, it's very similar to what happened with oil painting, where the fashion became, well, let's make it look like let's go photorealistic to the point where it can't get more photorealistic. And then does the innovation get lost? Does it become flat? So anyway, this is where my art history knowledge falls apart. But, I don't know, is there a relationship to contemporary video games and contemporary art, like where contemporary art has nowhere else to go but the conceptual, like, or in other words, like, by conceptual art, I don't know much about it, but I know that it's like you have to have an artist's statement, saying like, well, this is about climate change and this is why, and it has to be explained. It doesn't necessarily, conceptual art doesn't necessarily, isn't legible in a vacuum necessarily, where the way oil painting of the older, anyway, let me just bookmark that whole rant and maybe back it up with some examples at some point, visual examples. So, we are coming in for a landing in about 7 minutes. We're going to try to finish up our torso today. Let's get in here with this. Whoops. Here's a dark edge that we can. So what I'm kind of doing is using photos instead of models and trying to apply like a painting from life philosophy to painting from the photo. My teacher would be not horrified because he probably wouldn't care, but he would mock me for using photos at all. And I know that, and it's hard to, because as he said once in a lecture that I'll never forget, he was showing a photograph of he was showing a reproduction of a Van Dyck painting, and it was this outstanding painting of a guy with armor, with a highlight on the like armor, shining like white, bright highlight. And he points at it in a little quiet lecture, not a lecture hall, but we were in the studio, repurposed studio for lectures on Thursday nights. And he says, "This is not a photograph. This is another world." And he's right. Like, when you're painting from life, it transcends photography. It transcends all of that stuff. And it the artist translates the subject. The artist brings to nature his or her own spin. The artist elevates nature in a way. So, and that's, we can't really do that when we're painting from photos, because the photo is already stuck there. The photo is already frozen in time. There isn't much that we can do apart from sort of calligraphic and fun transitions and things like that. But the photo is what it is. Whereas when you're painting from life, the thing moves, the light hits it differently. It's up to you to decide how nature is translated for the viewer of that painting. So, all right, we're gonna dark there. Let's find out. There's obviously a light there. What? Huh? Oh, I see. Push, pull. There we go. Scientology medallion coming up maybe after the break a little bit. So yeah, I guess in the same way that you can see a thread of lineage from one generation of music, anything like that, the same can be said of the tradition of oil paint, the passing of the torch of different innovations, and yada, yada, yada. Maybe what we should do is get some other painters on here to start talking about this stuff, because I'm not well read in the slightest. Like, I mean, I'm not. I barely, if ever, have read. I've just listened to teachers and looked at the artwork, and I've had the fortunate experience of being in Italy, like where you can see these paintings. You can see them in books, obviously. You can see them on the internet, but the more you kind of see them and know what their context is, what other paintings are being done at the same time, the more you can learn. So, here we go. I think we've done an hour. Energy levels are good. Let's take a little break. after these messages. Starting soon. Starting soon. Not too soon, apparently. 3:15. Okay. Let's call it, we'll start again at 10:06 Eastern Standard. All right. Woo. And we'll be back. Oy, oy. Whoa. All right, we're back in the saddle. Are we? Did I forget to turn off the something? Mm-hmm. All right, let's do this. Um, let's rid ourselves of pardon me, had a snack. All right, let's really get this Canadian tuxedo figured out here. Put this thing to bed. All right. Echo Chi. Whoop. All right, so we get in here. Oh boy. Really just tapping in here to the tapping into the source. And since we don't have a lot of info going on right here. I'm gonna get a small brush and just take us where we can. Something like that. You can see I think you see what I meant by that. Oh, wait a second. Yep, we're good. Paranoia sets in. Do we have a time lapse going? Mm-hmm. How about this lighter value? And really, so important to get turn the volume of the hand there. Like, what happened to Chris? Did he take a sedative? No, just had to stand up and get out of my head a little bit. Put in a little bit of that. Put in a little bit of this. All right. Pop quiz level 1. What white paint or pigment does Bob Ross use in his palette? Is it Kremnitz white? Is it lead white? Is it zinc white? Or is it titanium white? Let us know in the chat. And if you're the first to answer, we don't have a lot of goodies to give out today, but I will personally describe the difference. All right. So, titanium for 200, please. Neon Mantis, you win. How's it going today? It looks like he's got a giant puddle of titanium white on his palette. You are correct. You are correct. I am happy to see you in the chat. And what's happening? Titanium for 200. Whoops. You didn't have to phone a friend or anything. You didn't even have to review the materials. I think we've got a Bob Ross expert on our hands. Good. Been lurking for a bit. Great. Taking a break from some doodling. Cool. Um, when I went on my break, I was gonna bring back some fun things. All I could really muster was my own Canadian tuxedo jacket. And for a second, I thought I had the exact same jacket, but it's not quite. It's got the ivory buttons or whatever they are, but nobody can pull off the Canadian tux quite like our buddy here. But the next break, I might come back with another, albeit less exciting, another treat, another kind of conversation piece, let's say. Yeah, titanium white. Neon Mantis remembers him saying titanium white a lot. And yeah, Van Dyke Brown. And that's like very important. Like we were just talking about Van Dyke. I don't know what Van Dyke Brown is. I mean, I've never used it, but Van Dyke is among my favorite portrait painters, if not the top. But he used Van Dyke Brown, that's for sure. Top of the heap. And what other colors did he have? I was going to ask like something more of a deep cut, like what black did he use? Was it ivory black? I'm assuming there aren't many other blacks that... Actually, no, I think he had multiple blacks. Like he had sort of like a cool one and a warm one. I don't know. My color knowledge is almost nothing. I've told you probably millions of times, when I paint, I only use 3 colors. White, lead white in my case. Occasionally I'll use titanium if it's not in the flesh tones. But I use lead if I'm painting flesh tones because it tends to be more elastic and translucent, particularly when you're mixing it with a medium of any kind. Whereas titanium white really is opaque. It flattens everything. But the other one that I've used is... Oh, the other colors are white, red. Oh, what's going on here? I'm sorry. Lead white, yellow ochre, lead white, yellow ochre, ivory black, and cadmium red light, which is a vermilion substitute. Vermilion's a little tricky to get a hold of and to get it quite right. So I just go with a cadmium red substitute. And basically, if you mix yellow ochre and black, you get a nice brown. You get your Van Dyke Brown. Yellow ochre, black, and a hint of red will get you your Van Dyke Brown. So why buy another tube of paint when you can just buy 3? Convince me otherwise. All right, this is very relaxing. This painting, like this part of the journey is very relaxing because I'm not under a lot of pressure to get likeness right. I'm just sort of building the structure of the shirt. I could be going a lot faster than this probably, but I think that's going to be important. Something like that. All right, now that we've got our dark value for the edge there, we can also find the remainder of our background over the shoulder. Really, we're just going to get these lines in place so that we know where we are. We can just plonk down this gray, grigio. It's not a gray, it's a blue really, but let's see, something like that. Nice little satisfying streak of blue. Whoops. Something like that. Let's get this Canadian tuxedo under control here. Bob Ross, master of the Canadian tuxedo. Legendary tree painter Bob Ross. So I was down in the basement of my building recently, and I saw a painting, an oil painting, that just would have, I mean, I actually did a double take and I was like, what, who painted this? You know, like, is this a Ross original? And the more I looked at it, I was like, no, this is not just a, wait, what? What did I just do? No, that was wrong. Whoops. This is not a Bob Ross original. This puts to shame, and I won't say this too loud, it put Bob Ross to shame. It was so much better than a Ross. But it was done with the same techniques and kind of stylistic mannerisms and all that, like where, you know, you're using the palette knife to drag the trees and hate to break it to you folks, but Bob Ross, in my opinion, I think somebody who asked this about, was he a good teacher? Nobody really asked if he's a good painter. And he's good at what he does, which is like television entertainment painting and very instructional painting for amateurs. The paintings themselves are hit or miss. Sometimes they're okay, in my opinion. Other times they're, they fall short. But I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm the people say that Thomas Kinkade is a genius, an artistic genius. It's all in the eye of the beholder, and as we know from our discussions with Linda over at Facebook and elsewhere, it's all just a matter of opinion. But please chime in. Let me know if you think I'm wrong, and what can we do to kind of get to the bottom of that conversation. We are, where are we? Is there anyone out there in YouTube land who would like to join in on the chat? I sort of have given up asking chatsters over at YouTube, because for a while I was like, I've never had a conversation with a YouTube viewer, and I've only been painting on YouTube for a couple of weeks at the most. So I think what I want to say is, welcome. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. I'm thrilled to have you. I will just say that if you wanted to chat, I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat, and you will be the first person ever to chat on Facebook. We have a couple of comments. One of them was not very... I had a comment that wasn't particularly enthusiastic about one of my Dateline portraits. But that commenter will be perhaps more kind about my Bob Ross painting. But I really don't mind mean comments. I mean, I'm just sort of curious more than anything else to see if anybody's actually watching and why and all that stuff. Are you an artist? Are you just an enthusiast? Okay, so you see what I did there? I plopped in a dark value over the where that little thread is. And then what I'm going to do is now try and isolate that value so that the, whoops, not like that. See, I mucked up my brush. Okay. Oh wait, did we freeze? Are we frozen? No. I don't know. Did we lose you? No. No. Okay. Let's just keep charging ahead. lurking and working. That is most appreciated. I don't know what this is. I'm putting in a blue. The other thing that people do when painting from photos is, painting portraits at all often is about flattery and not saying, oh, well, they've got a little paunch going there, let's put that in. You know, they try to find a way to disguise flaws. I've never been really good at that. In fact, I find it very difficult to paint things that are not there. And that's part of what I'm doing here, is sort of learning to be looser, and then thereby, if I can be looser, one day I may be able to learn to make things up, because that would kind of be fun, to be able to paint that way. Well, this is coming along. What do you think? We've got making some headway. All right, little silence and stillness here. Never hurt anyone. Let's find out where this happy little highlight lives. Let's find out where I'm a little looking ahead a bit to the rest of the day here. I'm disappointed to say this, but I'm not free to do an afternoon session. And it's disappointing, because I really wanted to kind of keep things on target for the same kind of pace as my more recent Josh Mankiewicz portrait that you can see in the Instagram or the VODs on the YouTube. But alas, here we are. You can't compare one piece to the next. It's a fool's errand. Sweet. Okay, there's our pocket. Now we can sort of decide what lives in there. Is that where Peapod the pocket squirrel lives? Or is that where he keeps his Scientology cheat sheet, his Dianetics cheat sheet? I was impressed by Slackerers yesterday. Slackerer in the chat was dropping some pretty advanced Scientology knowledge as we tried to determine whether or not Bob was a Scientologist or if that's just like his Elks Club. I don't know. He was a veteran, right? The man served in the armed forces. I don't know. I can't remember everything. We'll have to watch some of that documentary. Nice. All right, so we got a nice little outline there. We can, for a moment, if we can, head back. Oh, I'm always... Yep, we're still recording, no problem. All right, postage stamp, full size, extra full size, full size? I don't know. Let's clean up matters down here under the arm, under the elbow. Might as well, right? We're going to lose that edge almost entirely. And then we'll find it again as we wrap around. Oh no. So hard to determine whether that's, you might not be able to see it on the screen, but look. Okay, we made a complete statement, at least for the contours of the jacket. And we're going to make a complete statement for this little, what is this, a parallelogram? A rhombus? I don't know. See it like a rhombus. Paint it like a rhombus. Okay. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And moving on. Now we'll let's close up shop on this pocket here. How about it? We'll grab a streak of blue, ultramarine blue. Is that what he would use? Bonus points for anybody who can name another Bob Ross standby. We got titanium white, Van Dyke brown. I know he was talking about ultramarine blue, but I got to bring out my Bob Ross bobblehead. I think I left it in the studio. I will say that was a gift. I would never buy Bob Ross products on my own because, unfortunately, these are produced and licensed, not even licensed. His image and intellectual property is all, I believe, owned by whatever the company is that is, that he signed his life over to. That's all in the documentary. We're not going to relitigate that. It's too little too late for Bob's estate. But we don't have to support the, we don't have to support the evil company that took advantage of this dude. We could also see, okay, look at that. This is kind of fun. This is where things start to come to life a bit more in the shoulder. Whoops. And let's zoom out as we do, as we like to do, and find out what lives where. This is, if we squint and look at this area, very kind of quick and dirty lay in here, but again, as I've said a lot, the key is to flick your eye back and forth and make adjustments based on what is revealed when you do so. So here, there's a shadow edge here. There's a lovely shadow here. And see our little shadow that comes in here. So what you could be doing, if you want to sort of follow along in the visual, to what I'm doing here, is I'm looking at this area, but I'm looking here. I'm trying not to look at the painting so much as I am looking at the reference image, our model, so to speak, our model, who is Bob Ross. And when we do that, when we look at the model, we start to see things that are not present in our painting. In other words, to sort of jog your eye a bit, you look primarily at that reference image and you see, how high up does this little triangle go? Probably not there, but sometimes it's the little mistakes, as Bob calls them, happy accidents. Sometimes it's those which bring the painting to life. So easier said than done to accept your happy accidents. Anyway, I'm feeling happy about a lot of these accidents that are going on. And let's plop one here. Whoops. I don't think that's quite the right accident. There, that's the accident I'm looking for. There's a little shapy shape here. No. There's a light shape here. Getting too into the weeds there, maybe. Let's just carve right through here with some of this dark, sort of aqua blue. I don't know. This is that tuxedo blue. And find our edge. Find our edge, find our edge. We're going for realism, but the more I do this, I'm like, I don't know, should we be going for realism? Like, what if we want a little bit more of that brushiness? Or like the stylized, like, oh, you got the background lines in the background. All that stuff is up to the viewer, really. I'm going to finish this one, the way we have in the past. But as I, continue to learn, we might see some stylistic evolutions. More on that as the hours. I don't know. I'm starting to get a little tired myself. Maybe it's time for lunch. All right. Goody. There was a dark blue. And I don't know what I'm doing here except mucking things up. Bobby. What can we do? We're coming up on a 10-minute mark where we're going to have a break. And then what we used to call the pausa lunga, the long break. Everybody loves a long break. You can smoke as many Camel cigarettes as you can fit in one hand. So I never quite got around to being able to. I'm an ex-smoker, as my doctor corrected me when I said I was a former smoker. Because, you got to take some pride in your achievements. Meaning, when you're a smoker, it's like you got to accept full credit for your you know what I'm saying. I was a proud smoker, And I'm also a proud former smoker. But I've never really been able to smoke cigarettes while I paint. Because, usually you're inside and I don't know, maybe once or twice I did. But more importantly, it's like nicotine is a very powerful it's like a sedative combined with an upper or something like that. Like it keeps you alert, but it also keeps you calm. And that's what it's a heck of a drug. And I could see it being very helpful now, when you're sitting for hours. But I'm not going to be tempted. I don't ever foresee myself being a smoker again, but whatever. You can do well, I don't know. Things change, right? You're like, I don't want to do this anymore. So, in just a moment, we'll be passing into the next realm of Scientology. Gosh, I'm losing it. I need a longer break. I don't know what that was. There we go, a little peek through into the reflected light under the arm. That's kind of cool. We'll keep working on that at another time, but it's getting exciting, I would say. The old Canadian tuxedo. All right, we're going to get this highlight on the button and plop it. Then we'll zoom across and quickly find out where this little highlight on the button lives. Nice, we got a little spot for it. Oh, wait a minute. What? I was on the wrong button, dudes. Yikes. Okay, here's another one. Grab that spot. Plop it in here. And then find out where and when this thing ends. Oh, that wrong button again. That's got to be the same color as the... All right, sorry, I'm making myself dizzy too. I'm going to stop soon. What color is that? Get this green. Kind of a greeny gray. Cool, cool. If we keep our goals reasonable, I think we'll find we can accomplish anything. In this case, the goal is make a complete statement, aka fill in the gray. Fill in the gray. Fill in the gray. Let's go. I'm reminded a little bit of a speed running challenge that I set for myself the other day, which was kind of a competition between me and my son, who's almost on the cusp of being 6 now, but he is quite a skilled gamer, and he's got a fair amount of experience playing 8-bit, vintage Nintendo, retro Nintendo stuff, and a fair bit of experience playing contemporary stuff. But we recently went back to Metroid, which is one of my favorite all-time games for NES. And they have this, what's called the Special Edition on Nintendo Switch. And the Special Edition enables you to start with they kick you off at they start you off at different areas of the map with different numbers of missiles and all this. But one of the places that they start you off, which is really fun, is, wait, what's this? Oh, weird. Huh. I've made a mistake. Somehow. They kick you off outside of Ridley's hideout, who's the boss of of Norfair. Anyway, so what we do is we just time each other. How long does it take to beat Ridley? And I can do him in 21 seconds, which we've been practicing a bit. And Fletch can do it in 25 seconds. And this is not an easy, you got to stay on the platform. Ridley can bump you off and all this kind of thing. So I'm very impressed with the lad. Okay, that was that. Let's see how we do. Secrets to reveal. This is it. We're going to do a little breaky. Achy breaky heart. And let's get our type tool and say 11:36 Eastern. Actually, I think we'll do 11:41. Nope, 42, 41 Eastern. Starting soon. let's get this. I can't. I can't resist. All right, let's do it. Let's get back to this in a little second. let's get back to business here. We'll see what we can muster up for the last session here. So let's do it. First things first, get rid of this funny thing. We'll hide it, lock it, get into our paint layer, and get our brush. So first, before we get painting, at any moment we could lose our screen grab, which I don't want. We just got to keep an eye out. All right, looking good. What's next? What are we lacking here? Apart from our sanity. This little line is going to be good. I think what we got to do is just power on, power through. By that I mean find our shadows. There we go. Find our sharp edges, our dark edges, whatever, however they manifest. Look at this. There's a dark. We can find that here. Something's up with where I placed the brush. It's that 2-inch hog bristle. What's up with it? Why? Yeah. Let's block it in a bit better. Block this in. Beat the devil out of that brush. There. How about this? How about... what about this? We're going to make these edges really flutter and do what they're supposed to be doing. But right now we're just blocking them in. Eventually we'll maybe go back in and clean them up, tidy the edges up, make them do all kinds of fancy things, but we're not. At the moment we're just blocking in. But blocking in not just like crazily. I think we're blocking in a way that is strategic and sets us up well for when we do come back. We kind of block in basically where the shapes are. we indicate where those little transitions will go if and when we return to fix them. All right, Canadian tux. I think it was yesterday that we had a pal stop in, Ariandel Arts, maybe? Do I have that right? But that was. It's fun. We're seeing some of the regulars from different time zones starting to get familiar with who's who. Lots to lots to do here, lots to paint, lots to learn, lots to chat about. Let's see there, we get our sometimes it helps to make funny noises when you paint these things. So there we go. We've really blocked in what we need to block in. And now we'll just play cleanup, because look, we don't need that edge there. We're going in, we're indicating the tux. This edge can be more like this. This edge lives more in the darker realms. And this edge is too dark. But yeah, we're now just, we've done enough like kind of mapping in that now we can step back and look and say, well, what more can be done about this area, for instance? If I were like pretending this was some kind of a spot the difference game, which I sometimes do, I'll flip my eye back and forth and I'll say to myself, okay, where's the difference? Where's the difference? Where's the difference? Look at this. There's a very important dark shape there that kind of has been neglected. Ready? See that? I don't know how high up it goes, but I know that with it there now, we can then discover how high up it goes. We're going to want to bring our gray across. We're going to want to bring our highlight across, but all these things can only be uncovered or unlocked once one examines where the structures live. Like, in other words, where are the darks? Where are the lights? What's going on with this button? You know, here's a highlight. Let's find it. Zoom over to our painting. Thankfully, we have a paint by numbers lily pad to cling to. And we can do it again. Okay. Highlight on the right. Something like that. Find our now. The pocket's a big problem right now. I can see it. We've got something in place already, but let's do that. Didn't need to do that, really. Beautiful highlight sitting over the top of the button. I'd love to know what material those buttons are made of. I don't have one on mine. Let's find out. Anyone? Any fashion designers out there? Like, we're gonna blur that. Boom. Already gives it from the distance. It gives it that glow, that sort of shimmering. Oh boy, it's the little joys of painting. Sometimes you need them. All right, so who should I paint next? I think we've already locked ourselves in here, and I know we've gotten some good suggestions. I'm not going to necessarily take suggestions, but I will certainly love to talk about the pros and cons of painting various. But I think the theme is going to remain PBS. The theme is going to remain Channel 13, at least for this round. So I think maybe we'll channel Fred Rogers next. And I don't think there's going to be much choice as far as photos go. It's possible like, here's what I'm thinking as far as photos, reference photos. I think I'm going to need to like borrow or like invest in some high-res photos. It's too much of a pain in the neck to try to work off of low res. And high res is expensive. And the reason it's expensive is because these are like editorial images we're talking about. Oh, Rio Gaming 101. Cheap viewers on katoto.org. Rio Gaming, thanks for the chat. I don't think we're going to be too thrilled here with links. So I don't think you're going to have much play on that link, but thanks for stopping by. If you want to smash that follow button, I'd definitely be willing to discuss, what's on that, what's hiding behind that link. You want to talk about it? But yeah, so finding a bit of moolah somewhere between the couch cushions, buy a $200 high res of what's his name? Fred Rogers. If, by the way, and this is where it gets awkward because I think of you guys like, friends, but I think it's, you are my friends, but I think of you as not like customers, right? But if you do want to support the journey, I think at some point I'm going to just have an anonymous tip jar or something like that, so we could invest those tips back into our thing here, in the form of high-res photos to work from. I've actually gone on a bit of a like fundraising expedition to see if anybody wants to like you know, contribute to reference photos. I don't know where I left off with that. I gotta look back at the archives. But yeah, you know, at the end of the day, I'm delaying the inevitable, having to get a real job sooner or later. But I thought it wouldn't hurt to give this the old college try. And so far, it's been very valuable and fun to work on this project. But I'm not really sure where it's gonna, if and how or when I might be able to like monetize. I really want like I really would like let's just paint, right? What is it that I would like? I'd love to have some commission work, and then I could like ask permission to share that with you all. But it's been a while since I've had a commission. I think the pandemic may have all right. Nature walk. Speaking of Metroid, that's my Metroid ringtone. So, what do we do now? Well, we persevere. I've got a potential work opportunity on the line here. Let me see what that is. Painting Bob Ross, ATM. But let's talk in about 30 min. Okie doke. So, bet you never thought. I think. Doogie diggy diggy doogie. Doogie diggy diggy doogie. Do do nee nee nee. We're still going here. That's exciting. So I've got about 30 minutes, I think. We are, gosh, I don't know what it is, but is it, what is it? I'm talking to myself again. Okay. Okay, so we'll grab a highlight like this. Super fun. And we get this little triangle going. We're going to blur this out with something like that. I made a mistake there, just in case you were wondering. I had the tonal value wrong, but there we go, something like that. All of this stuff here is really just a continuation. I mean, yeah, it's reading. Now I'm just yapping. Just let me yap away and keep painting. It's nice and quiet, right? Let's see here. Okay. I don't know what that was. I didn't mean to do it. There's kind of a dark edge to the pocket up here, right? I don't know what that was. That was not, I was not paying attention, but I just did it. And I'm going to regret it. You got to look at what you're doing. Don't just put it down there and hope it works. How about this? What's happening here? Underneath, we've got a little something like that. Gosh, it's a lot of flat light here. Even though it looks like it's chiaroscuro, it's mostly flat light. And let's carry on. Fight the good fight. So we've got a highlight there. We got a light, squinting down. All this stuff, same deal. Look what happens when you hit it like this. It's a little much, I know. A little jagged. But within there, there's plenty of good material in here to latch onto. Okay. Here, as the dark edge ebbs and flows into the light, we'll take our brush and just paint away. You can see some interesting moments happening where the tonal value of the gray shirt matches that of the canvas color or the gray background. And that's where you start to wonder, like, you'd have a legitimate argument against the concept that color doesn't matter. Because it really does. It can help show form. Because look, the color might be right. I'm sorry, the tone may be correct. But even still, hang on. What is happening? I see what's happening. This edge needs to be softened. something like that. I don't know what that is, how I did that, but it's not gonna fly. Let's pull this light edge through. Like that. It's kind of fun. We got about 20 minutes remaining in this morning's session. And yeah. We'll keep it up. Keep it up. Bling, boom, bling, boom, bling, boom, boom. Bling, boom, boom. Happy painting and God bless. Look at that difference there. And then how does this melt? The dark edge melts into the light edge there. We'll find a happy highlight edge here, if we can. That's a blur. It's going to be helpful. And then blurring edges, finding edges, losing edges. I don't know. What do we think? Do we like this sort of... do we like the choppiness here in the shirt? It's hard to see. Let's zoom in. Oop, oop, oh boy. Not good. See, it's pretty choppy. I think we got to keep working. And how are we going to do that? What's the, like, now we're just looking for areas where the canvas is coming through in the Canadian tuxedo. And like here. That's not right, but this is more right. Like here, and we can zero in on these unfinished businesses. Keep the basic structure going, and you'll start to see that taking shape better. There was a good, that's a good tonal snag. Find a happy highlight here. Happy little shadow tone. And then think about where the shadow edge is here. So much of this is going to be carving up into the shadow. Now, did I... no. I'm wrong. We're going to carve, but we're going to carve into the shadow from the bottom side here. And just see if that, how that lands. There we go. I think that's a little better. Maybe that's aggressive, but for now. For now, we'll leave it as is. That's not what we want. We don't, oh yeah, a little bit of that we want. It's kind of cool. Throwing in some edges there, throwing some shapes around. One thing that I didn't resolve really was this edge. So look at how this kind of falls down. The light falls here, falls through here. And curves and curls. Like that, something. Get a highlight to live. Find out where that lives. Bring it on through. So now really we're getting into the areas on the tux here, which are gonna need to be resolved eventually. And so maybe it's a matter of when, as we're resolving them kind of live, you know, we'll resolve them on the fly as best we can, so that when we come back, it doesn't have to be this grueling, detailed procedure. Like, you know, I guess what I'm saying is you're going to have to do the work anyway. So, better to do it now than do it twice, sort of thing. Flicking my eye back and forth. This is the corner here. This sort of purplish edge can be fused in here. And we can kind of lose things within there. Well, you don't want to get too lost. You want to come on over here and make sure that your original, see what happens is, because these brushes are wet mixer brushes, I guess they're called, you end up having to repaint and I don't know. We'll see. How's that look? Get in there, figure it out, find out what is shadow, what is light. Whoa, nope. Let's see how we can make that edge turn even more if we want. Make this edge turn a bit. And then find a happy little halftone here. That's a tricky one. I would say that's harder than I thought. Like, look how the more you start to articulate the curves in the tuxedo, the more you're like on the hook. Like, oh, are you gonna go that far? All right, well, you know, let's give it that Jordache Stonewash flavor. Let's really go for it. It's no longer just, oh yeah, that's a jean jacket. We get it. It's more like, ooh, that's what a jean jacket looks like. So you got to kind of dance that line. It's more about feel, and it becomes about textures and flavor more so than it is about just saying, yeah, that's accurate, you know. All right, well, where are we now? We're at the 323 mark. I already see that this is going to become, things are going to become interesting in our next session. Because what I'd like to do is sort of commit now to moving to a new area in the piece, but maybe it's back to the head. Because I think for our time lapse, we don't want it to be like, now we're doing the shirt. I think we want it to be a little more like organic and fun. Oh gosh, what did I do? What have I done? No, no, no. You've gone too far, pal. You're going too far. Down the rabbit hole. You're going too far. And we can come on back anytime and get into this stuff. And sometimes it's important to have a break, right? Here's a fun thing to do before the break. Hit that sort of shadow edge. Hit this one. And then see what that looks like from a distance. See, yeah, that really starts to curve in. Wow. 4 more minutes. What are we going to do? We're not going to look at our phone anymore. We're going to find out what lives here. There's a little element of shadowy, tuxy fun. Don't know what that was. I'm not accepting responsibility for it. But sometimes I just get like impatient and I just do something. And yeah. So look, here's like a little shape like the backwards Vermont. And see how it lives up here? We can pull that light in and then drag it down and in. Drag it in there. All right, now, speaking of dragons, let's bring this in. See, this is what we needed to do. We needed to get in here and figure out that shoulder at the last minute here. Get ourselves wrapped into paint ourselves into a corner that we can't get out of. That's fine. That's good. Sort of. So, important element of the tuxedo here is this. Lovely, lovely. Like, look. Find this highlight as it streams down here. And with 20 more seconds to go, you know, you kind of got to hang it up and say, we will be back at another time. And we say, God bless. As Bob would say, God, happy painting. And God bless. So we're not going to be in tonight, this afternoon. We are going to hit this another time. So we'll say adieu to YouTube. Thanks for joining. See you next time.